This video is going to be about my solo trip, and I'm going to do a different format than I've done in the past. So it's going to be trip report and vlog a little bit mixed in as well. So I recently took a 3-night, 4-day trip by myself to Walt Disney World. I left on a Friday and I came back on a Monday, and my hours were crazy. This is not for everybody, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but enough detail to give you an idea that you can do a solo trip, and maybe some tips also along the way when you go as a family. Okay, so this isn't just, just purely solo trip stuff. Check out my Facebook page at Vacation with the Magic by Shelby, my Twitter account, my Instagram. All that information will be down below. I am a travel planner. I'm a travel agent who specializes in Walt Disney World. And to be honest with you, I think that the best part of booking a trip through me, which is free to you, by the way, you don't pay me anything, is that I give you itineraries. And you don't have to follow these itineraries verbatim. You don't have to follow them minute by minute. And my itineraries aren't minute by minute. They give you a general idea of where to be and what to ride, so you save time by not waiting in line. And I enjoy making the itineraries. That to me is the best part about planning a trip. But I will do everything: dining reservations, Fastpass reservations, dining recommendations, Fastpass recommendations. Okay, so I do everything, and once again, it is free to you, so you can contact me. My info is down below. So let's get started. I left on October 13th. I left on Friday the 13th, and I went to bed on the 12th, which was hard because it was open house at my daughter's school, and lots of running around later than we usually do. But I was in bed by 8:30. Probably asleep by 9. And I did that because I had to get up really early on Thursday morning to check in for my flight, so I just stayed up. My flight on October 13th left at 5:45 in the morning. So I have the luxury of having 3 major airports near my house. Within about an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours of my house are 3 international airports. So I get to kind of pick and choose where I want to leave. So I left my house at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I was up at 2:30, left at 3. And by the time I got through security, and also where I live, because it's rural, security is easy peasy. I was able, as soon as I sat down with my coffee, they were like, time to board. So it was wonderful. So once again, I left at 5:45 in the morning. We touched down by 8 o'clock in the morning. So I was in Orlando at 8 o'clock in the morning, got on the Magical Express, went to my resort, and I recommend this for everybody, even if you do online check-in. I went to the check-in desk, and I went through the online check-in line. So I did my online check-in. Once I got to my resort, which was All Star Sports, I went through the online check-in line, and I checked in anyway just to make sure that everything was set up and ready to go. I arrived at the Magic Kingdom at 10 a.m. It was wonderful. It was also hot, but I knew that. But it was absolutely amazing. And the first thing I did was I rode Journey of the Little Mermaid. So I went on my Disney Experience on my app, and I looked to see which had low wait times. And because it was still in the morning, which I always recommend going in the morning, especially to the Magic Kingdom and to other parks, which I will get to later, especially one other one, which was crazy, but I will get to that story, I promise. I checked to see which had the lowest wait time. Now, because of Hurricane Irma, I did notice that during this trip, the crowds were crazier, busier, heavier than they were when I took my family last October. So it was a little crazy, but I did ride Journey of the Little Mermaid.
The story began when Ariel fell head over face in love.
Things you don't get too far. Legs are required for jumping, dancing.
The Duke is the Duke of Soul. He can play the things on the street, the drop, rocking out the
Pass line. I had a Fast Pass for Peter Pan. And I entered the line at 11:20 and I was out of that ride by 11:30. Okay. So then I just hopped right over to Mickey's PhilharMagic, which is one of my favorites. I know not a lot of people like it. I absolutely adore it. And that was walk on. It says 10 minutes. It was walk on. I got my glasses. I walked down. They opened the doors. It was lovely. Then I met a friend who I knew was going to be there, and her daughter. Amazing people. So I got to say a quick hello to them. After Mickey's PhilharMagic, I went and I had my Fast Pass for my favorite ride of all time, the Haunted Mansion. And I love, love, love this ride. And I walked around and I took a bunch of pictures. A ton of pictures, actually, which was one of my goals for this trip because I didn't have the family. I had a 1:20 p.m. lunch reservation at Be Our Guest. And like I said in a previous video, I had never eaten in a restaurant by myself. So this was a big, big deal. And to make it worse, I don't want to say worse in my head, the only table that was available when I walked in was a 6-top table. So I had pre-ordered my food 30 days out on the My Disney experience. And I was able to bypass the long line. There was a short line. There was a family in front of me. And they opened up 2 register areas. And I went in. The cast member asked if I wanted to make any changes. I said no, I paid for my meal. He took the little gold rose from me because they find you by your magic band. And I went and sat down, and it was the only one available was a 6-top. And I felt bad because here I am all by myself sitting at it was huge, 6-top table, but that's what it was. And they delivered my food, which I got the croquette monsieur, which is a ham and cheese sandwich with french fries, a soda, because I needed the caffeine. This trip should have been sponsored by a coffee company. And the Master's cupcake, which is incredible. It has the gray stuff. It's chocolate. It's just... you have to have the Master's Cupcake if you've never had it. So I had my lunch and I was in Fantasyland. So once again, I walked through, I took a lot of pictures, and I hopped on the train in Fantasyland. And this was a bit of a wait.
Taking their first spin behind the wheel of a car. Getting from place to place is a big deal in Tomorrowland, where you might board a people mover, zip around on the Astro Orbiter, or book a flight across the galaxy at our busy starport in Space Mountain.
It's just what it is. It's the train. And I rode around until Frontierland, where I then had a Fast Pass for a Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. And if you have not been on it lately, within the last year or so, they did a fantastic job with the refurb. It is amazing. It is smoother. They've added some things. It's really, really great. So after Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, I walked through Frontierland, which is my favorite part of the Magic Kingdom, and I went to a Country Bear Jamboree.
We'll play now in a good old key of G. Zeke and Zach, Kid and Fred, Birdland, Tennessee. Zake's playing on the banjo and tapping with his feet. I'm banging on the next pipe with a real old country beat.
After I entered the line as soon as I entered the line for Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, I pulled up my Disney Experience app. And I went on and I booked a 4th Fast Pass. Now, thinking it would be easier for me because I was a party of one, it actually was difficult, like I said, because of Hurricane Irma and the crowds. But I was able to still do it, and I booked it for Winnie the Pooh, which I adore Winnie the Pooh, and it was a great option. So I went, I had some time. My Fast Pass wasn't until 3:35. And I walked around a little bit, took some pictures. I caught the Muppet Show in Liberty Square. And then I entered, and it was able to scan. You get a 5-minute early time that you can enter. So your little Fast Pass line. So my Fast Pass was at 3:35. I entered at 3:30. I rode Winnie the Pooh. Once again, as soon as I entered the line, I went on my Disney Experience, and I got a 5th Fast Pass for Small World. So I went and rode Small World directly after Winnie the Pooh, which was fantastic. Then I went to Tomorrowland, to the Joffrey's kiosk by Space Mountain, and I got a coffee latte thing that was incredible. as I was drinking that, I went and watched the Move It and Shake It dance party. I went to Sorcerers of the Kingdom and picked up my cards that I can get. And I have a tip for this. Because we keep going back, but we have different magic bands. This time, I had her put the Kingdom, Sorcerers of the Kingdom on here instead on our magic bands. So we will have this card every time, and I don't have to worry about every time stopping in and restarting the process all over again because it'll be right on this card. I went to Casey's for a hot dog, and I actually got a water and apple slices as well. I got a meal, and I saved the apple slices for later and put the water in my backpack. Then I went over to the Carousel of Progress, and I rode the Carousel of Progress. Oh, I love that ride. It is so relaxing.
Tomorrow, just a dream away. Phew, boy, hottest 4th of July we've had in years. We've come a long way, though, since the turn of the century, over 20 some odd years ago. You know that pilot fella, Charles Lindbergh? He's about to fly a single-wing airplane.
The end of my day was I left the Magic Kingdom at 6:21 for Fort Wilderness. It was going to close at 7 o'clock anyway because of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. So I was going to Fort Wilderness to meet the Headless Horseman. It was at the Tri-Circle D Ranch. So it was near Hoop-Dee-Doo, but it was back where they have the horses, and it was in with the horses in the stable. And the horses are obviously, they're back, behind our doors, but once in a while a head would pop out. But anyway, so you go in and you check in, and I had purchased the premium package, so I had seating within the first 5 rows, any seating that you wanted to. You got a giant bag of popcorn, and because I was premium, I got this really cute little cooler, and it says Return to Sleepy Hollow on it. It had candy in it, a small water. I got this great lanyard, and it has all the dates for this year and the date with the Headless Horseman. And the best part is I got a limited edition pin as well. So this is super cool. This is my main reason for getting the premium package. So I got to sit up front, right over there, and we watched Ichabod from Ichabod and Mr. Toad. So the story, Sleepy Hollow, and it was really cool to watch it in the stall. The horses were right there, and then the movie ended. The screen, it said on the screen, "Now we invite you if you dare," and then the screen went up, and the workers in the back went back and pulled open the barn doors, and there he was on the horse with a glowing jack-o'-lantern. I'm getting goosebumps now thinking about it. With a glowing jack-o'-lantern and fog. And it was absolutely incredible. After that, I got the boat back to the Magic Kingdom, and then I got the bus back to All-Star Sports. And I hadn't been back to my room yet. So I woke up at 2:30 a.m. I finally got back to my room at 10:30 p.m. So, wow, it was actually around I want to say maybe 10:15. Because by the time I went to bed, it was 10:30. So I was up for 20 hours. Little tired. So I checked out my room. My room was great. It was in a fantastic location. I was in the basketball section. It was nice. It was clean. It was all I need when I go to Disney is really a bed and a shower. We never really stay in the room. So it was perfect for what I needed. The next day, October 14th, was a Saturday, and it was my Epcot day. And to be honest with you, I was meeting friends that night for dinner, so I will get to that. But I had the whole day to myself. So I was up at 6:30. I caught the bus at 7:45. I'm looking at my notes. And I arrived at Epcot at 8:05, which was perfect. Now, I recommend I went the whole way to the left, and it was a short line. There was a family in front of us, but there are 2, they make it a V. A V. Wait, there we go, a V. Very tired. So they have the little Mickey heads that you scan. You'll have actually it'd be like this. So they have oh no, wait. I'm really tired. It is like this. So they'd have them over here. So 2 there and like 2 here. And the family was standing right in the middle. And then the guy came and said, please make a line, make a line here and like here. And they stayed to the left. So I was the first one in my line. I was actually the first one to scan into Epcot that morning, which was way, way cool. So I did the running with the bulls, which I thought was crazy on this day, but I will get to that in a minute for my next day. To Soarin', because I had Fastpass. My Fastpasses for the day were the Frozen ride, that was my tier 1, and then I did Living with the Land and Spaceship Earth as my tier 2s. So I went to Soarin'. They ended up opening Epcot around 8:40. They had not the Jaminators, but the chef drummers came out and entertained us for a little bit. So once you got past the turnstiles, they roped off, and the gentleman came out and said, I'm going to let the rope go. Please don't move. He went to the different areas to make sure everybody heard. We're going to have entertainment. We're going to get them out of the way. And then we're going to let you go. Okay. So they did that in a cute, cute show. It was a great way to open up Epcot. And I chucked it to Soarin', and I realized that I need more cardio in my life. So by the time I got to Soarin', it was around 9 o'clock, and I was out at about 9:10, 9:15. I wasn't in the first screen. I was in the second screen. But I was the first person there was a family in front of me of 3. So then I was the 4th person in the second screen because people can outwalk me and outrun me. After Soarin', I trucked the whole way over to the other side of the park, and I rode Test Track. And I rode in the single rider line. There was a 5-minute wait. The regular line had a 45-minute wait. So there is a big tip. You don't get to build your car, but there's no wait. So it's fantastic. So I was out of Test Track by 9:30. So by 9:30, I had already rode Soarin' and Test Track, and right beside Test Track, I hopped over to Mission Space. Mission Space had a little bit of a hiccup. I got in line for the orange, and it broke down. So we sat there, and we were waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And then eventually they just moved us to another area, and then we got onto that ride for orange. So it was no problem. And then after orange, I wanted to go see the new video for green. So I went and rode green as well. I like the new HD quality of the orange ride, and I love the new movie in green. I don't feel like it's really much of a mission, but it's very visual. It's very pretty. So it's very nice. It's a great, great movie. So I was, all in all, with the breakdown, I was out of Mission Space at 10:20 in the morning. I had 11:05 Fastpass for Living with the Land, so I hopped on that.
Of all the forces at work on the land, humans have had one of the most profound effects. The need to produce food for a growing world led to the enormous use, and sometimes overuse, ways to produce bountiful harvests now and into the future. The tropics are home to the greatest diversity of plants on the planet. Many of these, like papaya, bananas, cacao, coffee, and rice, are well known around the world.
Then after Living with the Land, I was hungry. I don't really eat breakfast very much, so I had packed some granola bars, but I only the one day, then Sunday, did I eat one. But so I went through, and I started with Canada, and I got my cheddar cheese soup. And the pretzel roll, which is so good. Oh, so good. And then I went to Ireland, and I had the pumpkin chai tea with caramel vodka, which was really great. I slurped that thing down like it was nothing. It was absolutely incredible. I also got the cake too with the sauce, but I could have probably gotten 2 more drinks and I would have been happy camper. And then I went and had the fromage, which I'm pronouncing that wrong, but the goat cheese with the spinach in France, which was also great. And I just walked around the world taking my time and taking pictures and just enjoying the environment. Now by this time, it is getting crowded. Food and wine on a Saturday. By noon, there were drunk people already, and it was getting really, really crowded. I had a Fastpass for Frozen. I entered at 1:16 p.m. and I was done by 1:30. So I had walked from Canada all the way around to Norway, rode the ride, and I was going to ride the Donald Duck boat ride, the Three Caballeros, and I went in, and it was a 30 to 45 minute wait for that ride. No, not happening. The line for the tequila bar in the Mexican pavilion was out and up the ramp and outside the pavilion. I was like, I'm not riding this ride. I'm sorry. It was actually the only thing I didn't get done. Epcot was my most productive day. So I went and had a coffee outside of Joffrey's, out near Test Track, outside the festival center. And I went and walked around the festival center and saw some of the demonstrations, which were really, really amazing, really professionally done. I really want to take one. They would just absolutely looked incredible, and everybody seemed to be having a wonderful and good time. I went and rode Spaceship Earth.
Reed's flat is inventing papyrus, a sort of paper. Papyrus in turn creates better record keeping of plans, designs, and unfortunately taxes. But it also brings with it the dawn of great civilizations. At this point, each civilization has its own form of writing, which none of the others can understand. But the Phoenicians, who trade with all of them, have a solution. They create a simple common alphabet, adaptable to most languages. Remember how easy it was to learn your ABCs? Thank the Phoenicians.
I had a Fastpass for it, so I entered at 2:30 and I was out at 2:55. So as soon as I entered the Spaceship Earth line, I went on and I got another Fastpass on my Disney experience, and I got it for Nemo. So I rode that at 3:05 with a Fastpass, and as soon as I entered that line, my tip is do it before you get in the building, because once you get in the building, your cell reception and everything can get limited. Mine always does. So maybe you'll have better luck, but I was trying to do it as fast as I can before I actually entered. I call it Living with the Seas because I'm old, but the Living with the Seas building. So that is a big tip. So I got another Fastpass for Figment, and I rode that at 3:25. So by the time I walked around, and I took my time once after the Nemo ride. I went and looked at some of the exhibits and just walked around and looked at all the aquarium stuff, because I find that incredibly relaxing, and I would have one in my house if it wasn't a pain in the ha-ha to take care of. So I entered the Figment line, and like I tried as soon as I could, as soon as I got a little bit of reception as soon as I entered the line inside the building, but as soon as I could, I got into my Disney experience and got a, let's say that's 3, 4, 5, 5th Fastpass for the Pixar short films, which my family usually bypasses. We don't watch. And I went to the bathroom in between there and everything and got a drink, got more water, and I was in and out of there by 4 o'clock. So I had pretty much done and rode everything. I didn't see Troll Talk with Crush because I didn't have children with me. I don't know. I just didn't, yeah. And I didn't see like the American Adventure or the China movie or the France movie as well. I would have liked to, but Epcot was so crazy and I was trying to get all these pictures in. So I love the Pixar Short Film Festival. I found it absolutely adorable. So that was great. So I was meeting friends for dinner, like I said, and we were going to Via Napoli, and they were staying at Boardwalk. So around 4 o'clock, I went over and walked over to the Boardwalk Resort to meet them, and there I saw a wedding, which was really, really gorgeous and just total fairy tale wedding. We went to the Abracadabra bar right on the boardwalk. I had the Magic Mirror, I believe it's called. Incredible, nice and relaxing area. Had a nice drink. And then we headed over to Via Napoli, where we met another friend and her family. And we had an amazing, amazing dinner. My family never eats at Via Napoli because my husband is lactose intolerant. But I loved the pizza. It was absolutely incredible. I found the restaurant to be loud, so it was hard to hold a conversation with everybody at our table because there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of us. Well, the one was a baby, but 6 of us and the baby. But other than that, the food was great. The service was very nice and lovely. So I recommend Via Napoli. So after Via Napoli, Epcot closed at 10. This was about 9 o'clock by now, so I headed home. I was exhausted. The next day, Sunday, October 15th, I was bound and determined to get, and which I did, go to Animal Kingdom and see Pandora. That was my main thing. So I was able to get a Fastpass for a Flight of Passage, Expedition Everest, and the Safari. Those were my fast passes for the 15th. So Animal Kingdom opened at 9. And I had a plan in my head what I was going to do because I had Fastpass Flight of Passage. I was going to hit Navi River Journey at Rope Drop. So I was up at 6. I was at the bus stop by 7. I had a coffee. I went and got a coffee first at the food court at All Star Sports. Now, as I noticed, and I've noticed this before in the past, Hollywood Studios had extra morning hours. Extra morning magic hours. Okay, we'll go with that. And that started at 8 a.m. The line at 7 a.m. for Hollywood Studios was insane. I was the first one in line at Animal Kingdom because they didn't have the extra magic hours in the morning. They had them on Monday. So I flip-flopped my days and I was going to Hollywood Studios first thing Monday morning. So I got the bus stop at 7. I arrived at Animal Kingdom by 7:40. I walked right through bag check. There was no line. I entered the park at 8:10. And I entered Pandora at 8:40. So even though the park wasn't supposed to open at 9, and a lot of people I could hear, as you will notice if you take a solo trip, you pick up a lot of conversations. You could hear people grumbling about how, like, why are all these people here, blah, 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 blah. Well, all these people here because they opened the park at 8:10. They let you go up, and you go up around Discovery Island, the Oasis area. You go up and around, and then you meet again, right? And then they take you to Pandora. So there were people, like I thought Soarin' was bad. There were people literally like marathon running up, and I took my damn ass time because I had a fast pass for Flight of Passage. That's where they were all going. And this is why people always say, why do I need a travel agent? Why do I need a travel agent? I can do it myself. Because this is why. Because as I was in line at Pandora, waiting to get into Pandora, and I was back, I wasn't far back, but I wasn't like right up front either. I was in the middle, and I'm listening to these people talk, and they're asking another guest, and they're saying, you know, they had little kids, 3-4 years old. They're not getting on Flight of Passage. And they were like, you know, we want to ride the boat ride. We don't want to ride Flight of Passage. And he's like, oh yeah, follow me. Follow me. I can help you. Yeah. Oh no, yeah. You don't, I'll help you. He took him right to the Flight of Passage. Because when you enter Pandora, Flight of Passage is to the right. And the Navi River Journey is to the left. And there they go, off to flight. Oh, this is the way. We're going to the boat? Oh yeah, you're going to the boat. So see, like me, I wouldn't give you crappy advice. I would help you out beforehand so you don't have to go there and wait in line for an hour and be like, oh crap, we're in the wrong line. We want to go over to the boat. Because I went and rode the boat and it said 20 minutes on the thing, but I think that was just the general, you know, wait time they put up. It was a walk on and a walk off. And when I walked off, it was a 3-hour wait for Flight of Passage. Insane. So I got a coffee, I got a scone in a Starbucks, and I walked over to Dinoland, rode Dinosaur at 9:30. That was a walk-on. Not a problem. I had a 10 a.m. Safari Fast Pass. I rode that.
To dogs for their beautiful, beautiful coats. Prehensile tongues so they can reach up and grab the leaves with them. Now if they spend all day eating, doesn't leave a whole lot of time for anything else. The giraffes only sleep for about 30 minutes a day.
I had a 10:50 Fast Pass for, so I had 9:50 to 10:50 Fast Pass for my Safari, and then my 10:50 Fast Pass for Flight of Passage, but I was able to enter it at 10:45. And if you have not ridden this ride, this is the most amazing thing. I cried. It was so incredibly good. It was just absolutely phenomenal. So after Flight of Passage, I walked around. I still hadn't eaten yet, which was fine because like I said, I had my snack. I waited a little bit. My son wanted a souvenir. So I went and I found it, but I didn't purchase it because it came in this box. It was a Yeti it was an Expedition Everest Explorer kit. So I was like, okay, I'll get that in a second. I want to go ride. So I went and rode Expedition Everest with my Fast Pass. Then I went and purchased his souvenir, and I left Animal Kingdom about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I went back to my resort. I freshened up a little bit. I had to change my shirt for Mickey's Not So Scary. And I was back in the Magic Kingdom at 2:30, where I went to Pecos Bill and had some tacos, which are so good. So after my lunch, I hung out, I relaxed. I went and got more Sorcerers of the Kingdom cards. I just chilled. I wasn't, just taking pictures and just enjoying my solo trip. So I was meeting my friends, the same friends from the night before, for Mickey's Not So Scary, and we were going to go to Trader Sam's. Well, little did I know, because I'm in the Disney bubble, the Trader Sam's had released a new mug, the Hitchhiking Ghost mug. So the line was insane for Trader Sam's. So we scratched that idea, and we went over to the Wave at the Contemporary and hung out at the bar and had a drink, and they ate, and it was nice and relaxing, and it was just fantastic. So then we went over for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, and we dressed up as Winnie the Pooh characters. We kind of Disney bound, but with ears, so I guess it probably wasn't really Disney bounding. I was Rue, and we rode Pirates first. Well, we went through the tree line. We got our bag. So when you go to Mickey's Not So Scary, when you go in, they give you a wristband. Obviously, I broke this off. And they give you, then you go through and they can give you a treat bag. This is the regular treat bag. And in this treat bag, they give you a bag of goodies as well as like a starter kit, right? So that's really cool. So then we went through that and we picked up our stuff and we rode Pirates. We rode Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. We rode Small World. We saw the fireworks. We watched the 11:15 parade, and then we went back and kicked and watched the Sanderson show at midnight. And it was nice, and it was relaxing, and it was just nice to take your time and just enjoy the surroundings. I will have down below from last year's trip, because this year I didn't take my camera in. I was trying to be lightweight for the party, and and just enjoy time with friends. The S on this is because I picked up the Sorcerer of the Kingdom card for Halloween as well, which had a Country Bear Jamboree theme. So the last day was October 16th, Monday, which was my birthday. Yay! And I packed the night before, so by the time I got in, the party ended at midnight. We watched the midnight show, and then we left. I got back around 1. I went to bed at 1:30, but because I packed everything up, and because it was just me, it was pretty self-contained anyway. So I packed up Sunday night. So I got up, I slept in. I slept in till 7. Gave myself a good 5.5 hours of sleep. And I caught the bus at 8 a.m. for Hollywood Studios. I rope dropped Toy Story, which was a walk-on. It was, a mad rush because some of the people are going down to Tower of Terror. Some people are going to Jedi training. But, and some people, there were a lot of people headed to Toy Story Midway Mania. But it was pretty easy, and it was a walk-on. So I went on that. And then I rode Star Wars twice. I rode it at 9:15 and I rode it at 9:30. So by 9:30, I was done. That's actually all I wanted to do. I was going to ride Rock and Roller Coaster, but I was having stomach issues that day. I know too much information, so I nixed the Rock and Roller Coaster idea. I was like, I'm just going to go to the Magic Kingdom. Now, in the morning, here's a big tip. In the morning like that, if you want to go from park to park, those park-to-park buses aren't really running yet. Okay? They are, but not as frequently as they do later on. So what I did was I went and I caught a bus to the Polynesian Resort. And then I hopped on the monorail over to the Magic Kingdom. So that saved me a lot of time. So at 11:30, I had lunch at Pecos Bills because I love it there. I did notice too, people that were mobile ordering had to wait in a line as well. When it's busy, it seems that mobile ordering gets jammed up. So keep that in mind if you're going to use that. At noon, I went to the Tiki Room and enjoyed a lovely show with some wonderful animatronic birds. I had a Fastpass for Pirates, rode that. Then I had a Fastpass for Peter Pan, rode that. And then I did something I would never do with my family. I wanted to ride the Haunted Mansion. It was my last day. It was my birthday. I wanted to ride it. So it had a 60-minute wait, and I wasn't going to be able to get a 4th Fastpass this day because I had to catch the Magical Express, so I entered the line at 2 o'clock. The ride broke down for a crazy, crazy reason, and I discussed it in our podcast. So if you're interested in knowing the reason, check out our podcast, MouseLife Podcast on iTunes. It will be there. It's under Shelby's Solo Trip Report, or I think that's what the show's called. It's a very interesting reason, and one that I've never come across before. So anyway, so I finally got off of that at 3:15, and I had to hike my tushy, or 3:20 actually. I had to hike my butt over to Mine Train, and I had Fastpass that, and I rode that at 3:30. And even though, because of the malfunction of Haunted Mansion, they gave us a free Fastpass to use anytime until Halloween, I didn't have time. I had to go. So I caught the Magical Express because the Magical Express was picking me up at 5:25, and because my flight was leaving at 8:25 that night. So I went back to the resort and I ate dinner in the food court. I grabbed a sandwich and, just relaxed and everything, and just waited for the Magical Express bus, which I fell asleep on. My flight left at 8:25 and I landed at about 10:30. We're supposed to land at 11. We ended up landing at 10:30. And, so it worked out. All in all, a solo trip was great. I missed my family, of course. I missed my kids. I missed my dog. I missed my husband, definitely. But I would recommend it. I would do this again, definitely. I would recommend it to anybody who is a diehard Disney World lover and you just want to do things your way just for like one time. Even like this was a short trip. I packed in a lot in 4 days, and obviously you don't have to. But, I tried to get everything done that I wanted to get done. And would I have done this with the kids? No, it would have been a little bit more relaxed. We do go crazy, but it would have still been a little bit more relaxed. And I've said that when we go as a family in May, we're going to take our time a little bit more. So we'll see how that goes. We're also going to Universal for a day because my daughter is a big, big Harry Potter fan. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But anyway, I recommend the solo trip. I totally do. You get to hear other people's conversations. There was a lot of bickering, yelling, cursing at each other, screaming at each other. It's funny how families fight. Like there were people like going for the jugular. You're like, really? You're on Main Street. But there you go. So there was that. I did talk to some very lovely people, especially I saw a lot of Penn State people, which is where I went to school, so that was really cool to talk to them. And it was just a great trip to meet friends and hang out with friends a couple nights. So I highly, highly recommend it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.